Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is Dearest Mother, Love Ruthie. Ruth Smallshaw Ray's Letters to Her Mother, 1950, Part 47. This is the first part of the original publication, based on the original publication, Smallshaw Family Memories Collection, or SFMC number 29, published on September 20th, 1998. 2457 Kenilworth Road, Cleveland Heights, Ohio, December 29th, 1949. Dearest Mother, Daddy, and Bud, I hardly know where to begin. You were so good to me, and I've had such a busy holiday. We opened my Christmas presents before we left. John gave me a book, In Our Image, a new illustrated book of the Old Testament that I'd love you to see. Marion sent me weekday panties that I love. Connie sent a sweater, and Ginny gave me earrings. Grandma's locket arrived today. I had to pay $1.30 duty on it. You should have marked it gift. I hope you didn't pay any duty. Tell me. John's sister gave me a scarf, and his grandmother gave me one too. She made 83 scarves for her children, etc. Sounds like too many. Santa Claus had come by the time we arrived in Marion, Ohio. We went to midnight service and had a big dinner Christmas at his grandmother's. We visited aunts, etc., and had supper at another aunt's. Just millions of relatives all over. Then we went up to Sandusky Sunday night and had a nice time and came back Monday night. Frances came from Alabama Tuesday, and she and Shintu, Ann, and Wayne were over. Last night we went to see the play Harvey. Very funny. We still haven't decided whether to drive to Hamilton and Toronto for New Year's or down to Cincinnati to see Gloria and Dave. John has asked for tomorrow off, so we have 4 days, and we'll have to decide before tomorrow. I got about 35 Christmas cards, which was so nice of everyone to think of me when I'm afraid I didn't send many cards. Both Mrs. Parrott and Marshall wrote and sent cards, and Bonnie is expecting a baby. The nightgown is so pretty, too short though. I should take large size. However, I've worn it so too late to take it back. Frances took me to dinner yesterday. In the past few months, Frank, Dale, John, and now Frances have all taken me to dinner and ordered wine with it. Very nice. Love, Ruthie. King Edward Hotel, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, January 2nd, 1950. Dearest Mother, Daddy, and Bud, hello, my dear family. I thought I'd drop you a note to tell you the joyful news that I've at last had a nice New Year's Eve, and I'm at least in Canada for the holidays, if not home. John got Friday off, so we left Friday and got to Hamilton that night. We tried phoning Chris before we left, but she had no telephone, so I thought I'd wire her after we crossed the border to be sure I can make it. I may still have to wait in Niagara Falls, so I still can't find my border crossing card. New Year's resolution, get a new one. It's pretty hard to find their place, and they were in bed. I hated to wake them, but did, and I felt we crowded them, so came to Toronto and got hotel rooms here for Saturday and last night. It was nice seeing them. They have a cute house, and the boys are still as lively as ever. John said I'd probably be nuts for taking a rugby ball or football for Ricky and plasticure for Billy, and New Year's Day we drove back for dinner, very delicious, and took the noisemakers from the dance. However, I took anagrams for David and a popcorn popper and popcorn for them all, so they would be okay. Saturday afternoon we went to visit Pat and Len and stayed for supper. It was so swell to see them, and they have a very cute apartment out in Burlington. I like that district better than Hamilton. They were so nice and have a cute little girl. She makes all these funny little faces and is really a riot. The little dress I bought was by far too small, but she's a big baby. She was so good, though. We phoned Connie from there, and she had train reservations for the next hour, so lucky we called. We got to Toronto by 9:30, had to find Connie, find hotel rooms, find a formal dance without reservations still available, and get dressed. We got out to the Palace Pier, $10 a couple, by 20 to 12, but had a nice time. And I was so glad to go to a formal dance and just hundreds of people there and a big floor. I wore my green dress and John his tuxedo. Sunday we drove back to Auntie's for a delicious turkey dinner, just everything. She seemed rather hurt or amazed or something that we thought we'd be crowding them, but we thought it better to come back for Connie anyway. We planned to take her to a midnight show, but the lineups were all at least a block and a half long, and then when we found one, all the tickets were sold, so we settled for going to the Chicken Palace for some chicken. John thought it was so good we'd go back today. Connie phoned to tell me it was 11:30 and still foggy. It took us twice as long yesterday from Hamilton. You couldn't see which side of the road you were on. Just terrible. I thought I'd write and let John sleep a little more, but I just called and he sounds as if he were ready to sleep for another few hours. However, I promised Connie we'd be out by 1 and maybe see Casa Lana before we took off. It's been a nice break. I love you. Happy New Year. Love, Ruthie. 1457 Kenilworth Road, Cleveland Heights, Ohio, January 15th, 1950. Dearest Mother, just a note, my dear family, because I realize you'd be wondering how things are. Fine. I'm in the middle of exams, had a sociology final last Thursday, and wrote a sociology and history term papers last week too. I was up till 5:15 and 6:15 Monday and Wednesday nights, so 1 hour and 2 hours sleep, not too refreshing. My roommates have reprimanded me, but I'm glad I studied because I feel I did better due to studying, and I can't get up steam until the last minute. We got back with Connie fine, but I just about bawled at the border. There was so much fuss about my crossing. They finally phoned Detroit with John's help. I'd never have been able to manage it myself. I must get another border crossing card. New Year's promise to John. He's really wonderful. Has a final exam himself tomorrow. I'm afraid I've not been much company for Connie with all my studying. She and Ginny get along fine, which is swell for her too. I hope she likes it here in Cleveland, eventually, although there are problems about her exams. She'll have to write her State of Ohio nurses' exams, and she lacks American history, and she learned from her medical that she has a heart murmur. John was very encouraging, though, that she shouldn't give up too easily. I'll write more. I love you. I love you, Ruth. P.S. Connie just cooked a delicious dinner. Ham and pineapple and glazed carrots and blueberry pie. John was over and enjoyed it too. I have 2 exams and a paper this week, and my last exam was on the 26th. Today is Wade's birthday. I was so surprised about the oranges. I've not heard from him. John called for me after Sunday school and took Connie and I down to the cathedral. He kneels down too. His comment when I told him you missed me at midnight Christmas communion was, "Your father should have been there, and she wouldn't miss you so much." We enjoyed seeing Pat and Len so much. I'm enjoying my classes so much now, and am getting to know so many of the kids. About 4 of the fellows came to my table in the library and studied with me, which helped a lot, because they could explain things in a new way to me. The senior prom is the 28th, a formal. I'll be a senior now, so glad. Oh, Bud, I wish you were having the experience of college. I wouldn't have missed this for anything, and so nearly did. Intellectual stimulation is worth more than any money. 2457 Kenilworth Road, Cleveland Heights, Ohio. February 1st, 1950. Dearest family. Mother, Daddy, and Buddy. I almost feel too ashamed to write. It's been such a long time. I can hardly understand myself. I finished my exams a week ago, so that's really no excuse. February 5th. I've decided that it's been a combination of things that have made settling down to write so difficult. Maybe once I get everything straightened out with you, I'll feel better. I realize that unconsciously it's been bothering me because I've been discussing things with you, Mother, in my sleep. It's been a very difficult month. Exams were a terrific strain. They needn't have been either, because when I'd taken them I realized they weren't so bad. However, I left so much of my work till the end that I was overworked. There were 3 term papers that I should have been writing over the holidays rather than going to Hamilton. However, the procrastinator daughter is always overestimating her ability to do things in a short space of time. I was pounding away, or rather pecking away, on a typewriter into the early hours when I should have been sleeping or studying. One evening, John awoke and drove me home from the co-op at 5:15 a.m. before history, and I slept only 1 hour. Shintu and I kept each other company during that siege. Poor Shintu just about knocked himself out working on his thesis. He was up every night for a week, but he graduated. He got 27 hours of A's and 3 hours of B's out of his 30 hours. Isn't that terrific? He gave John and I tickets to his graduation at Severance Hall last Saturday. We were so surprised when the girl led us along and opened the door to a box. We had seats in the second box, very plush. We really felt very honored because they'd be the seats he'd give his parents were they here. He said he had special pull with the professors to get such good seats for us. That night we had Dale and Dan and Bill and Shintu over, and Connie was here. We had a toast to Shintu. John and I then went to the senior prom. I'm now a senior. I wore my green dress again, and John brought me a lovely corsage of, I think, talisman roses. They were a gold-shaded outer petals, going to amber and rust and deeper-colored centers. They were very pretty. The surprise of the year came Thursday when I got a beautiful dozen roses from Bud. I was so excited I phoned John at work. I've been puzzled as to why they came, or what was the occasion, darling. The only solution I could think of was that you may have ordered them at Christmas and they just came. They too are lovely with dark outer petals and creamy pinkish yellow centers. I really feel very honored and really think I have the best brother. I just love to see you all so much. Well, back to the exams. I stayed up too late and got too worn out. I thought I'd catch up easily, but apparently haven't. I was very relieved when they were over. I'll send some of my papers that may interest you, although naturally none of my final ones. I don't expect my marks to be very good, but only fair. I think I've learned my lesson, though. Right after exams, I felt so good and relieved and made a complete list of things to do. So far, I've practically finished the list, but had to push myself to do so. My new classes begin tomorrow. Now I have a bad cold, though. John just brought me cold tablets and orders to gargle with hot salt water. Yesterday I went to the doctor, John's uncle, who says I'm practically okay. He's done me more good than all the other fellows. He straightened my back and gave me exercises which I am to continue for the next couple of years to strengthen my back. I had my corselet refitted Friday and can get the steel braces taken out. The pain's just about all gone, so I'm glad about that. Financially, I'm even, paid all my bills. My teacher's retirement from Florida paid my fees, all but about $40. Now if I can just hold on a little longer. I visited Superior School and they've asked me to teach next September. Mrs. Heinrichs asked me to teach full-time again now, and it's been a temptation, believe me. Thank you so much for your help, but please don't any more, darlings, because I know you need it too. Well, I enjoyed the prom very much. It was at the Lakeshore Hotel. Very nice. Afterwards, we went to a place called the Silverthorn, where John met a fellow who has graduated from law school and begun practice. It was very interesting, and of course, John was especially interested. I've been babysitting and sleeping and reading Uncle Tom's Cabin, but generally not feeling too good. John says I'm so used to being on the go I'm lost when I'm not. We're going to see and hear Oscar Levant, who's down at the music hall tonight. John got the tickets payday, so we've got good seats. Did I tell you? One night I was typing like mad at the co-op, and John came home from school. He'd got a $50 a month raise. His boss was very honest. The boss can't get a higher position until he has someone to take over his job. John is the one he's got ready for it, so they're trying to make his salary so that it will be very difficult for him to leave and go into law, which of course will be tough sledding financially at first. Anyway, it's very good now for him. I still haven't decided about June, which is in the back of my mind and causing me uncertainty, I guess. I had a lovely note from Wade's mother asking me down for Easter or after school. I felt very much like going, but it might prove too complicated. I'd love to see the babies, though. Monday. Well, I stayed home from school this morning. My throat and glands are quite sore. Connie has painted my throat, and I've taken cold tablets, and John just phoned to say he's bringing me some penicillin lozenges. I'm going to class tonight and phoned that I'd go to school tomorrow, and I hope I feel okay. We heard the Happy Gang today, first time in so long. It was so nice to hear them. We enjoyed Oscar Levant so much last night. He's so cute. Played his encores first, and of course, Rhapsody. Clair de Lune, Indian Fire Ritual, Saber Dance, plus some Bach and Chopin. Very good. The Christmas cake came this morning. Thanks. I love you. Save my papers for me. I love you, Ruthie. 2457 Kenilworth Road, Cleveland Heights, Ohio, February 11th, 1950. Dearest Mother, Daddy, and Bud, hello, my dear family. It was so nice to get your letter, although I knew before I opened it how badly I was going to feel when you said how you were looking for a letter. I'll try, really I will, to keep writing more regularly. This has been quite a week. I was out of school for 3 days. While we were out to see Oscar Levant, my throat got worse until I could hardly swallow. I felt so much better after one day in bed that I planned to not go back to school. I planned to go back to school, but it got bad again. Connie was really swell. She got my lunches, made me drink water, fruit juices, aspirin, and vitamin pills. John got his uncle to prescribe some sulfa tablets, and John bought some penicillin candy from the nurse at his work. Connie and Ginny both swabbed my throat, too. With all that, I thought I was feeling okay, so went down to university. About halfway through a class, my head began to throb, and by the time it was over and I phoned John to come for me, I was just about hysterical. It took a lot out of me, and I slept for 15 hours straight. I felt pretty tired after school Thursday and Friday, so fell into bed again, and also yesterday and today. We went to a party at Walter's last night. It was very quiet, so quite okay for me, and it was so nice to see some of the kids again. Dale and Dan have got a new dark cherry Studebaker car, Starlight Coupe. Joan and Lenny also have a new Studebaker. Anne and Wayne Duff a new Ford. The kids are all really getting settled. It's just swell to know them. I'm taking a course, Child Growth and Development, with Joan and Lenny, who are both teachers working on their MAs. I have to take one course that I don't like much, so maybe I can get my family to help me with it. It's conservation, and we have to make a notebook with clippings on things like soils, reclamation, arid lands, wildlife conservation, minerals, water supply, and forests. I thought Saskatchewan might have some different material in papers, magazines, and that you all could be on the lookout for me. Also, would you send me those nature magazines that I have? I think they were on the little end table. Maybe if I try to keep up on my work, I won't have a siege like this at the end of the next semester. John and I have decided on a new plan. I'm to go to bed earlier every night and not see him Tuesdays and Thursdays, except to ride to school and back. He's been so swell. His dad and mother were in yesterday. His mother has a bad back too, and Ted Zook also gave her the same exercise as he gave me, plus some codeine to kill the pain. I hope the doctor has helped you, Mother dear. Please try this exercise. It may help you too. Lie on your back flat on a bed, arms at your sides, legs together. Bend your right foot up, then bend your right knee and touch your left knee with your right heel. Then stretch your right foot straight into the air. Keep your toes up at right angles. Then let your leg down slowly. Alternate with the left leg touching the right knee. Try this 5 times, alternating with each leg, 5 each. Now I realize that rheumatism is different, but it is sort of a toning up exercise that gets circulation into that part of your back. After the first day I was a little sore, but believe me, it's good, and John's mother has what sounds more like your trouble. Anyway, I hope you feel better, dear. His mom and dad wanted us to go to Marion, Ohio. They were having a family get-together before his grandmother and grandfather left. They are flying to California for the rest of the winter. How's Bud doing? I miss his letters. I was really so happy to hear about his playing. Oh, but I'd like to be home and hear him. I still wish you all would buy a Studebaker, less gasoline, and all plan to drive down and see me. Daddy could put one check, Mom another, and Bud another, and... No, Daddy could get one himself, then he'd take better care of it. Oh well, so I have ambitious ideas. I who have to go babysitting in an hour to pay for my stamps and lunches. Mrs. Klein, where I go regularly, Mr. Klein asked if he could deduct me from his income tax. I'm enclosing another paper. It may be a bit similar in style, but I thought if one seemed okay to one professor, it might work with another too. Save it for me. Bud may recognize some of our grade 12 poems too. Happy Valentine's Day. I love you. Write to me. I am happy. Love, Ruthie. To be continued. Well, that concludes today's presentation. Good luck to you with your efforts in family history. If this interests you, finding, preserving, and sharing old letters, diaries, and photographs, and interviewing elderly relatives while they're alive, you might consider checking out our website, Adventures in History, with Peter J. Ray at peterjray.com. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care. And I'll see you next time.